47 borders. Cabinet calls on the Israeli government to stop the bombardment of civilian establishments such as schools, hospitals, and homes, and for the opening of humanitarian corridors to allow the passage of aid, including food and medical supplies, to the Gaza Strips. Cabinet has called for the international criminal community to immediately take action against the breaches of international human rights. The failure to act both meaningfully by the ICC and the United Nations will be a demonstration of the total collapse of a rules-based multilateral system and a global governance system. The Netherlands state visit. President Cyril Ramaphosa is currently hosting Their Majesties King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Kingdom of Netherlands on a state visit from the 18th to the 20th of October 2023. The Netherlands is a major investor in the South African economy and one of South Africa's significant trading partners. Total trade doubled between 2019 and 2022 when it reached 122 billion between South Africa and the Netherlands. The Netherlands is also the fourth largest source of overseas tourists to South Africa. The two countries are expected to expand on their existing cooperation by signing a memorandum of understanding on cooperation in the fields of higher, technical, and vocational education. On electricity, On electricity, Cabinet was updated about Eskom's generation systems performance for the period ending 16th October 2023. Accordingly, Eskom's power generation capacity is currently averaging 28,615 megawatts in comparison to 27,410 megawatts in May 2023, an improvement of more than 1,000 megawatts. Cabinet was also informed of the decline in unplanned outages due to plant breakdown to average of 13,743 megawatts compared to 17,369 megawatts in May 2023. This is largely as a result of an effective plant maintenance program. Cabinet welcomed the addition of another 800 megawatts to the grid with the return of Kusile Unit 1 ahead of schedule. The additional capacity will help reduce higher levels of load shedding. On the Green Hydrogen Summit, Cabinet welcomed the hosting of the second South Africa Green Hydrogen Summit in Cape Town last week. Green hydrogen has the potential to add renewable energy generation capacity and to support the local development of renewable energy. On the sidelines of the summit, South Africa has concluded heads of agreements with the intention of launching South Africa Hydrogen Fund that will facilitate the development of the country's green hydrogen sector. The aim is to attract $1 billion in funding. It is estimated that the hydrogen economy has the potential to add 3.6% to our GDP by 2050 and approximately 370,000 jobs. On investment pledges, Cabinet welcomed the 100 million investment by electrical component supplier Actom in the expansion of its plant in Pretoria. This builds local capacity in manufacturing of electromechanical equipment as the renewable energy market grows. This investment will create jobs and solutions for renewable energy. Furthermore, Cabinet welcomed the rollout of the 284 million investment by MOVE, which will assist small business owners in the transport sector. MOVE has purchased over 2,000 vehicles, which will be used by the transport entrepreneurs. On crime and corruption, Cabinet commended the interagency search and seizure operations led by SARS on 12 October 2023 with the close cooperation between intelligence and law enforcement agencies. These targeted operations helped to prevent revenue losses to the fiscus, which amounted to more than 500 million, and 14 individuals were targeted during the operation. On Lady R, Cabinet welcomes the acknowledgement of the United States, National Security Advisor, Mr. Jake Sullivan, of the seriousness in which President Cyril Ramaphosa had addressed the Lady R matter and the affirmation of the strong relations between the two countries. On avian influenza, avian flu, Cabinet was updated on containment measures to limit the spread and impact of avian flu, also known avianza flu, also known as bird flu, which has recently affected the economy and the poultry sector. The Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, Ms. Thoko Didiza, has met with retailers and the South African Poultry Association to discuss possible solutions in the short and medium term to increase egg and chicken supply. Cabinet has noted that majority of independent poultry and agri producers have not been affected by avian flu. So it's our time that we go and purchase our eggs and our chicken from the townships and our villages, because at least this time they are protected. And we commend retailers such as Spar who are sourcing their eggs from the townships and villages surrounding them. On the day of South Africa's sporting battle against England, on Saturday, 21st October 2023, two of South Africa's biggest national teams will play against England in their respective World Cup matches. Cabinet calls on the nation to rally behind our national teams in their battle against England at the Cricket World Cup in India and the Rugby World Cup in France. Our national teams continue to remind us of the best of South Africa, and they are the best display of our unity as a nation with a single national identity, with that being just being a South African. As the Proteas and the Springboks enter the battlefields, it is our responsibility as the nation to let them feel the spirit and the vibe of the resilient nation behind them. All the best to the Springboks and the Proteas. National Press Freedom Day in commemoration of 46th anniversary of Black Wednesday. The 19th October in South Africa's national calendar serves as a reminder of the importance of a free and independence day. On this day, it reminds us of the importance of a free and independent press. On this day in 1977, the apartheid government banned two newspapers, The World and The Weekend World, in an attempt to silence the media from reporting about brutal acts of the regime. They also arrested the editor of The World newspaper, Percy Qoboza, and other journalists who used the media to expose the atrocities of apartheid. The architecture of our democratic dispensation insisted on media freedom as a fundamental tenet of our democracy, and it is entrenched in our Constitution. To this day, a free press plays an essential role in building an open and inclusive information society. On cabinet decisions, I'll start on the decisions of the Special Cabinet of 4th October 2023. First one is the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, Country Report of 2023. Cabinet approved the South African 2023 Sustainable Development Goals Country Report and its release by end of September 2023. Cabinet confirmed Statistics South Africa as an independent statistics agency and the only source of official statistics in the country. On South Africa's Institute for Drug-Free Sport, non-compliance with the World Anti-Doping Code, Cabinet considered and approved the processing of amendments to the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport Amendment Act, Act number 25 of 2006, to ensure alignment and compliance with the WADA code, which is the World Anti-Doping Agency Code. Cabinet decisions of 18th October 2023, the Financial Action Task Force Operating Framework. Cabinet noted progress in addressing grey listing deficiencies identified by FATF and progress with the re-rating of at least 14 technical compliance deficiencies and the positive progress in 17 out of 22 action items against the original action plan. Cabinet approved the updated operational framework for targeted financial sanctions to bind the conduct of all agencies involved in the process of designating individuals and entities in terms of amended Section 23 of the Protection of Constitutional Democracy Against Terrorism and Related Activities Amendment, Proctorata Act. The Green Hydrogen Commercialization Strategy. Cabinet approved the Green Hydrogen Commercialization Strategy for South Africa for implementation. The Green Hydrogen Commercialization Strategy will ensure South Africa becomes a major producer and exporter of green hydrogen. Government has identified possible funding for green hydrogen projects, and the draft green paper received extensive feedback from stakeholders. The Green Hydrogen Commercialization Strategy gives effect to the Hydrogen South African Strategy that was approved by Cabinet in 2007 to prepare the country for a hydrogen economy. It is also framed within the Hydrogen Society Roadmap developed by the Department of Science and Innovation and approved by Cabinet in 2021. The ratification of the protocol to amend the Convention on Offences and certain other acts committed on board aircraft. Cabinet approved the ratification of the protocol that is in place to combat unruly and disruptive behavior by some passengers on board aircraft. The protocol to amend the Convention on Offences and certain other acts committed on board aircraft was agreed in Montreal, Canada on 4th April 2014 and came into force on 1st January 2020. The co-hosting of the Third African Union's Men's Conference on Positive Masculinity in Leadership to End Violence Against Women and Girls. Cabinet approved the co-hosting of the Third African Union Men's Conference on Positive Masculinity in Leadership to End Violence Against Women and Girls with the Republic of the Comoros. The conference will take place from the 27th to the 28th of November 2023 in Johannesburg under the theme Making Agreements to Consolidate Regional Political Commitments Towards the Ending of Violence Against Women and Girls in Africa. On just energy transition, Cabinet noted progress on the development of the Just Energy Transition Investment Plan or JET-IP implementation plan. Cabinet further welcomed the Kingdom of the Netherlands and the Kingdom of Denmark as members of the JET-IP International Partners Group and welcomes the new JET-IP pledges made by these countries as well as by Canada, Spain, and Switzerland in 2023. Cabinet remains concerned on the non-commitment of the developed countries to meaningfully fund through grants the just energy transition and reiterated South Africa's commitment to a just transition in line with our energy needs. On appointments, all appointments are subject to the verification of qualifications and relevant clearances. The first appointment is the appointment of Ms. Irene Mashudu Tendani as the Chief Financial Officer of the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. Ms. Shireen Said as the Deputy Director General, Constitutional Development at the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. The third one, Mr. Lucky Charles Mohalaba as the Deputy Director General, Code Administration at the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Mr. Msiza Dennis Sibande as the Senior Executive Officer at the Property Management Trading Entity of the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. Ms. Luyanda Kafile as DDG or Deputy Director General, Program Management Office and Special Projects in the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. Appointment of members of the Ondersport Biological Products Board, Professor Percy Mabete, Dr. Natalie Skeppers, Mr. Mukutule Mukhobokwe, Ms. Sinovuyo Matai, Mr. Rajesh Mahabe, Dr. Lynn Kona, and Dr. Linda Makuleni Thompson. Appointment of the to the Board of Trustees of the Independent Development Trust, Mr. Kwazikwenkosi Innocent Mshengu and Ms. Lindelwa Nonjabulo Dlamini. They are adding up to the board from the vacancies that have arisen. On upcoming events, the Third African Union Men's Conference on Positivity of Masculinity in Leadership and to End Violence Against Women and Girls, we spoke about it earlier. The medium-term budget policy statement, Cabinet encouraged South Africans to tune into the 2023 medium-term budget policy statement, commonly known as the MTPBS, on the 1st of November. The MTPBS details adjustments to the national budget, and it is an important part of South Africa's open and accountable budget process. The District Development Model Presidential Imbizo, the upcoming District Development Model Presidential Imbizo in the JB Marks Municipality within the Dr. K.K. Kenneth Kaunda District Municipality in the Northwest Province on the 20th of October 2023, that will be tomorrow, will allow government to hear firsthand the challenges faced by communities and communicate its own interventions to address those challenges. Disability Rights Awareness Month, Cabinet approved the concept approach to this year's commemoration of the Disability Rights Awareness Month, which is commemorated annually from the 3rd of November to the 3rd of December. The theme for 2023 is Consolidate and Accelerate Rights of Persons with Disabilities into the Future. The campaign focuses on raising awareness on persons with disabilities in our society and also celebrates the progress the country has made to provide space for the active participation of people with disabilities in our drive for economic growth. The Minister in the Presidency for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities will soon unpack programs for the Awareness Month. South Africa celebrating 2023 World Food Day. South Africa will celebrate the 2023 World Food Day on the 26th of October 2023 in KwaZulu-Natal, King Cetshwayo District in Mhlathuze Local Municipality. World Food Day focuses on our food security conditions and interventions to address poverty. The Census 2022 results pointed out that while South African households participate in agriculture production for consumption, very few participate in food production for the market. This is the work that government will be seized with as part of nurturing our vibrant agricultural sector for the full value chains, including agro-processing, in our quest for national food security and job creation. The African Growth and Opportunity Act Forum, or AGOA Forum, South Africa will roll out the red carpet when it hosts the 20th AGOA Forum in Johannesburg, South Africa from the 2nd to the 4th of November 2023. The AGOA Forum is a unilateral trade preference scheme that provides qualifying sub-Saharan African countries with duty-free, quota-free access into the United States market. The forum will also feature the Made in Africa exhibition, showcasing regional value chains on the continent. 700 delegates are expected to attend the AGOA Forum, comprising of 35 sub-Saharan African trade ministers, including that of South Africa, the United States Trade Representative, a U.S. Congress delegation, African regional economic communities, civil society, as well as the business sector representatives. The National Senior Certificate examinations. The National Senior Certificate or Matric exams will commence on the 30th of October 2023. Cabinet extends its well wishes to the class of 2023 and all other learners who will be writing their final examinations. Cabinet calls on parents and guardians to support learners during this critical period in their academic journey. On the 7th Global Alcohol Policy Conference, South Africa will host the 7th Global Alcohol Policy Conference in Cape Town from the 24th to the 26th of October 2023. The conference will highlight the need for proactive steps at both national and global levels to address harm caused by alcohol harms by promoting science-based policies. It is the number of conferences the country will be hosting is an indication of the reopening of the tourism sector and our capacity as a country to host international conferences. And I'll then go to the messages of congratulations. First, Cabinet wants to extend its congratulations to the world champions, the Springboks, for qualifying for the semi-finals of the 2023 Rugby World Cup in France and keeping the dream alive of becoming back-to-back world champions on the hashtag Stronger Together. The Grammy Award winner Black Coffee for becoming the first South African DJ and producer to perform at a sold-out show at the Madison Square Garden in New York on the 7th of October 2023. The Proteas for beating Australia in their second round-robin match in the ICC World Cup 2023 in India. We want to extend our congratulations to Ms. Mary Vilakazi, who became the first woman to be appointed CEO of FirstRand. She began her career at accounting firm PwC, where she was one of the first youngest partners in 2005. She has served in multiple executive and non-executive directorship positions and was the chief operating officer at FirstRand before her promotion to the position of CEO. Bokoto Viva. Cabinet congratulated South Africans who have made the most influential people of African descent class of 2023 honorees in 2 Global 100 lists. The first list is the Health and Wellness edition and the 100 Under 40 edition. The MIPAD, which is the most influential people of African descent, highlights individuals, organizations, and governments who have distinguished themselves in the advancement of people of African descent worldwide. South Africans who were honored in the Under 40 editions are Khosi Twala of Big Brother Africa Titans winner, and Nwabisa Machumza, Director Africa of MultiChoice. In the 100th Healthcare edition, South African honorees were Dr. Joe Patla, our Minister of Health, and Kathy Tarmath, Chief Impact Investment Officer of the World Health Organization Foundation, and Mr. Kuseni Dlamini, Chairman of Aspen Pharma Group. We want to congratulate the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Mr. Ronald Lamola, on his election as the Vice President of the Asian African Legal Consultative Organization during the 61st annual meeting in Indonesia. And also we wish to extend our congratulations to Mr. Stratvos Nicolaou, who is a senior executive at Aspen Pharmacare, for being awarded Greece 2023 Public Service Award as part of that country's AGOA Awards. The AGOA Awards are bestowed to outstanding Greeks abroad who excel in their various sectors. We wish to extend again our congratulations to South Africa's Special Olympics team, who were once more honored on the 3rd of October 2023 by President Cyril Ramaphosa for their excellent performance at this year's Special Olympics World Games in Germany in June 2023. The national team returned with a whopping 49 medals, of which 22 were gold, 20 silver, and 7 bronze. Of all our national teams, this is the best haulage of medals that our country has brought from an Olympics game. On condolences, Cabinet expresses its condolences to the family and friends of Mme Lydia Komape, a retired trade unionist and former member of the National Assembly from 1994 to 2009 and the Limpopo Provincial Legislature from 2009 to 2019. She was committed to advancing workers' rights, the empowerment of rural women, and the liberation of our people. The former national rugby player and junior Springbok coach Eric Sols, who was the head coach of the South African team that won the country's first Under-21 world title in 1999. Professor Hussein Jerry Kovadia, a leading scientist who was at the forefront of the campaign to make antiretroviral therapies available to HIV and AIDS patients in the 1990s and beyond. His groundbreaking research program in mother-to-child transmission of HIV and AIDS, as well as the promotion of new treatment regimens, helped to save millions of lives. To members of the South African National Defence Force who tragically lost their lives in 2 separate incidences. 6 soldiers died following a fire that reached the South African Army Combat Training Center at the Lughatla military base in the Northern Cape. In addition, 4 members of the 8th SAI or South African Infantry Battalion died on their way to Lughatla in an accident. We wish to extend our condolences to the family and friends and the people of Eswatini and the Royal Eswatini Police Service and the family of the late Commissioner William Dlamini, who passed away in transit to Eswatini from Angola, where he attended the 26th Interpol African Regional Conference. To the government and the people of Afghanistan following the devastating earthquake that resulted in thousands of lives lost. To the government and the people of Finland on the passing away of former President Ahtisaari. President Ahtisaari and President Ramaphosa led the Irish peace process in the 1990s. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister, for the comprehensive report on the feedback of Cabinet deliberations. We will, without any waste of time, take the questions. We'll start first in the press room, and then we'll go for the online questions. May I advise that maybe for the online questions, we might take the first 5, and then we'll go for the last round. Let me check if we have any question in the House. The normal drill of introducing yourself and the media house and straight to the question. Thank you very much.
From Power FM News. Minister, looking at the issue of census, I see that Cabinet did acknowledge that in 2022, 82.4% of households did have access to piped water. But are you not concerned, though, that although this is the case, quite a number of municipalities are still failing to ensure clean drinking water to residents, given the situation in Hammanskraal, quite a number of areas, including Madikweni, Tutu, and Mabukani?
Thank you very much, Lerato. The next question.
Good morning, Minister. Yeah, my question is also relating to the census report. I'm sure you have also seen that the report, for instance, is saying that more than half, I think 57 of the households in Limpopo province in particular still rely on the pit latrines. And one look at issues of water, underground water, contamination and all of that. And in other provinces such as the Free State, including the Western Cape, where they have a high number of households that have flushing toilets, they still have the bucket toilet system. And I remember there was a call by the Human Rights Commission in 2018 specifically for the Free State to say they must expedite the process of eliminating the bucket system. In terms of restoring people's dignity, is there a program perhaps to push for the total eradication of this kind of toilets?
Thank you very much, Malogo. Ishmael, can we take at least the first batch of 5 questions online?
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. I'll start with Paul Fisciato from Bloomberg. Minister, on the 11th of October, Cabinet had an extended meeting. Did the Minister of Finance present the budget cuts? And were national and provincial government departments asked to cut spending? If so, by how much? Has South Africa offered to mediate between Israel and Hamas? The next questions from Anton Meyer, Pretoria News. Minister, who briefed Cabinet on the bombing of the Al-Ali hospital in Gaza? You condemned Israel for the attack, but did you consider the possibility that the hospital was hit by a stray missile fired by the Islamic Jihad. Why accuse Israel of a war crime? The next questions, Siphelele Dudla Business Report. Cabinet doesn't seem to have discussed the exodus of executive and board members at SOEs such as Transnet and Eskom. Why is this the case? And does Cabinet appreciate the magnitude of instability this causes within the investor community and government lenders? The next questions, Stembile Kele from Bloomberg News. Is the minister able to elaborate further on the FATF developments? And what does the re-rating of the deficiencies mean in practice? Is there an expectation that the FATF plenary scheduled for month end will give an indication of a timeline for SA getting off the grey list? The next set of questions, must I go on, Chair?
I think let's take that batch and then we'll go for the second round.
Thank you.
Now, thank you very much. Let us then invite the Minister to give a response to some of the questions.
Thank you. Can I treat the questions by both Lerato and Muluko in one batch because they are related? If you recall, I think sometime in June, the Cabinet was briefed and the Department of Water and Sanitation released the blue dot, the green dot, and the not dot or zero dot. What do they call it? Compliance. Yeah, compliance, that spoke about the clean water, the sanitation issues you have raised. And we have indicated even then that there is work to intervene from the departments of COCTA and the Department of Water and Sanitation to assist the municipalities that are battling to provide water. You will recall there's an intervention through the National Department of Water and Sanitation in Hammanskraal, as it relates to Rooival specifically. You will recall that I think 3 weeks ago, Cabinet announced that the progress that have been made in Mfuleni with the rainwater having intervened through the Department of Water and Sanitation to take over the management of sanitation issues and to make sure that the valves water treatment works system is in perfect condition. Those interventions are not limited there. I can just name a few. I think in KZN, Durban is one of those, that the eThekwini is one of those. There are a couple of other municipalities there. There's the interventions in Limpopo. They have done a program and will have to bring the ministers of COCTA and ministers of water and to come and brief the country on the interventions that have been made. They've identified municipalities in terms of their categories where the interventions must be made, both in terms of water provision, but also in terms of the sanitation issue. And indeed, the issue around the eradication of bucket system for toilets, it has been a commitment of government that we need to restore the dignity of our people, and also that's why statistics in terms of their census, they go and measure or count the progress we are making in terms of eradicating the pit latrines without ventilation and also the bucket toilet system, and the issue of the pit latrines both in Limpopo and Free State and other areas that are remaining a challenge. As part of the Cabinet statement, we have indicated that we are studying those in details and coming up with the interventions, and the intervention in that regard will come again from the Department of Water and Sanitation and COCTA in that briefing that they will provide to the country. And I need to apologize to the School of Government for not extending the congratulations to the School of Government for celebrating the 10th anniversary of the School of Government. That milestone should not be taken lightly when we have committed to modernize and professionalize the public service. The School of Government plays a critical role in the training and retraining of our public servants, but in also establishing a code, a single code of conduct for our public servants in terms of their ethos in their practice. And it's our best wishes to them and to another 10 years and more. and may they become a full-blown university. And on the questions that were sent online, the first question was on the extended cabinet meeting around which was asking whether the cabinet was taken into confidence about budget cuts, and where national and provincial government departments were asked to cut spending. If so, by how much? Actually, the meeting was not about the budget cuts. It was it was an extended meeting because you needed a longer time, and also you needed the premiers of provinces and the MECs of finance in provinces to consider the medium-term budget policy statement proposals. It's every year that meeting is held in preparation of the MTBPS. Similarly, a meeting is held of that nature in preparation of the budget statement. And in terms of the discussions, which are going to then be finalized in the special meeting again, there is no budget cuts. There is what we call fiscal discipline management, which Cabinet has already commented on, because we had to look at what are the efficiencies that we must achieve, and the wastages that we have. What are the things that we can perform better? How do we use the resources better? Of course, we have indicated as government that there is a fiscal shortfall that is arising from the low collections in terms of revenue, which were not anticipated, but also because of the impact on the rand of the global circumstances, that the geopolitical environment that we are faced with. So the multiplicity of those factors have played into the fiscal shortfall, and that fiscal shortfall is difficult to say by how much, because it depends month to month. The revenue services collects month to month, and the shortfall is taken at a month to month. I'm not the best person to talk about averages. The Minister of Finance will then speak on the 1st of November in terms of articulating what is the average shortfall that they are anticipating. And there was a question on whether Cabinet has been briefed on the bombing of Al-Ali Hospital in Gaza, and we are condemning Israel for the attack, but have we considered the possibility? I think all of us by now, we have heard that it is coming from the Israeli government, and we don't need to be briefed by anybody, but it is coming from the Israeli government. They cannot run away from the responsibility of bombing a site that is protected by international human rights laws. And there was also a question related to that, which I'm trying to see in my notes, to say whether South Africa has offered to mediate between Israel and Hamas. South Africa will continue to engage with other players, with the Arab League, will engage with other players in the area in terms of what is the mediation, will engage with the Secretary General of the United Nations, and also the Middle Eastern countries, and so of what's the role that we can play. We remain available and ready, and when that decision is taken, because we are consulting, we are engaging, we will inform South Africans of our role if we are going to play any role. And you must be ready for that role. And then there's a question that was asked of whether Cabinet discussed the Transnet, okay, let me read it. It says, whether Cabinet has discussed the exodus of executives and board members of SOEs, such as Transnet and Eskom. Why is this the case, and does Cabinet appreciate the magnitude of instability this causes within the investor community and government lenders? Cabinet has not discussed the resignations of executives either, and the chairperson of the board of Eskom. But that being it, executives resign, at one point or the other. For instance, the CFO of Transnet has joined Telkom, which is another SOE. The two CEOs in Transnet have resigned to pursue other issues. And it's not the place of government to say whether they resign or not. The place of government is to ensure that there is immediate restoration of stability. And you'll recall the Minister of Public Enterprises has announced the chairman interim of Eskom and also the interim executives that are standing in to the in Transnet and the Transnet Freight and Rail. What is important is the work that must be done to stabilize those two entities urgently and with speed. The impact of those is not very good. But you'll recall that there have been demands from the private sector, in particular as it relates to Transnet, about the executives that they must move on, and they are not stabilizing the environment. So it must be read in that concept, in that context, that we are committed to the stability of the entities, in particular the two entities, given the challenges that they were confronted with, the challenge of load shedding. Eskom needs to have a CEO and also needs to have a chairman who is fully committed to Eskom. But secondly, Transnet, given the logistics challenges the country is confronted with, will need to have a stable executive management team and also a stable board. And the Minister of Public Enterprises continues to work with other stakeholders to ensure the stability in that manner. There's a question on whether I can elaborate on the FATF developments. What does the re-rating of the deficiency mean in practice? And is there an expectation that the FATF plenary scheduled for end of month will give an indication of the timeline for SA getting off the grey list? So the re-rating, remember in the FATF deficiencies that we said we're deficient on, they are rated whether on high to medium and to low. And when you take certain actions, you are then revised. If they were high, you are revised to either medium and low. We're expecting that the meeting end of the month in October will consider that and then take a decision on that. The timelines for us, for South Africa to be moved out of the grey listing, it's 2025. And that's why we continue to work in earnest to ensure that South Africa meets the obligations towards FATF so that we can be moved from the grey listing because of its impact on the economy and the performance of the country. Thank you.
Thank you for the responses, Minister. We will just check if there are any follow-ups in the press room, and then we'll then go for the last batch of questions on the online. Any follow-ups? No, we are fine. Ishmael, can you take us through the last batch of questions on the online?
Thank you, Chairperson. We have a follow-up from Anton Meyer, Victoria News. Can the Minister please expand on the amendments to the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport American Act? How many amendments had to be made to comply with the World Anti-Doping Code? What is Cabinet's view on the embarrassing situation that the country found itself in with regards to the non-compliance with the WADA Code? Chris Yelland, EE Business Intelligence. Has Cabinet approved the draft integrated resource plan for electricity yet for release for the public consultation process? And if not, what is the delay caused by, and when is the draft IRP expected to be released for public consultation? We have a question from Brian Soputu, the Citizen. Has the SA government formally approached the ICC to investigate the Israeli-Palestine conflict? The last question is a follow-up from Paul Bicciato, Bloomberg. How will Holland and Denmark contribute to the Just Energy Transition investment plan? How much money will be involved? That's all for now. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Minister, those were the last questions that we have online, and we'll request the Minister to respond.
Thank you. I was trying to reach a friend for more details. On the wider amendments, the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture is the one working with amendments. Will then send you the details, your question to them to indicate the number of amendments involved so that they can provide that code. Yes, indeed, it was an embarrassing situation, but we appreciate the speed through which Minister Azizi Kodwa, having taken office from the 7th of March 2023, worked to ensure the amendments are in place and can be processed to make sure that the country complies. And we appreciate the WADA decision to allow South Africa to participate under the flag and give us the reprieve as we prepare to clean our house and make it in order. And then the question about whether Cabinet has approved the integrated resource plan for electricity for public release, not as yet. It's going to come back from the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. As soon as it comes back, we'll then consider it, and if approved by Cabinet, it will then be released for public comments. And whether government has formally approached the ICC to investigate the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, we have not approved the ICC as yet. On how will Holland and Denmark contribute to the JET IP and how much will that be involved? The friend is not coming back, but the Holland and Denmark have now joined the countries that are called investment partners. That means they are committed to investing in the just energy transition, so that the country can progress towards the clean energy by the set target dates. In terms of how much they are pledging, I do not have that detail on my hand. We'll then provide the details later to yourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Colleagues, this then brings us to the end of this post-cabinet briefing, and the briefing is adjourned. Sipho, my colleague, is here. For those that might want other follow-up issues, I think Sipho will be able to assist them. Thank you very much, Minister, and thank you very much, Acting DG. Colleagues, the session is